This, folks, is a temporary mini wood kiln. It's not very big at all. It's about 8 feet long, 4 feet high, and just a little under 4 feet wide. So the walls, except the ends, are built from outdoor refrigeration unit. So good insulation value there. They're about 3 inches thick, solid core foam walls. The ends, unfortunately, this is just temporary, so it's just chipboard with a little bit of styrofoam on the inside. So I'm losing R value there for sure, but this is temporary. These walls will be built into a larger kiln when I get some time. You'll see a few extra panels sitting in the back there. So I started this thing up last night. I've got a little over 100 board feet of pine inside. We will open it up in a few minutes, but there is a couple things I need to address here this morning, because there's a couple issues I noticed after I got this put together. So one of the big things that I don't really like about how this went together is, and this is just me not wanting to cut these panels until I have the final building put together. So what you'll see here is a tongue, and this is how the panels are joined together. So unfortunately, there's not a groove in this upper panel for this groove to fit in. So if we kind of swing over to the other side, the top panel is what they call an end panel for a refrigeration unit. So this panel here has one of those tongues, and it will sit into a groove in this top panel here. So this fits together pretty well, and it's actually not bleeding too much air. So on this side, because it's kind of just sitting on there, this here isn't too bad, but over on the other end, I've got a bit of a gap. I tried to caulk this up last night. It was dark. So I'm bleeding a lot of air in through here, and then I've also got I'm assuming this was an electrical hole for this unit. In a past life, I've filled it full of styrofoam, and that's where my wire's going through. I'm going to put some tape around here, and that will kind of stop the airflow from going through that. There is also another one of those holes on the other side. I've got tape over it right now. You can see the condensation that's in here. I don't think we'll be able to see it, but there is a temperature and humidity reading inside. Yeah, we're not going to be able to see it. So again, temporary, so it's kind of difficult. I got to stick a flashlight in there to see it, but so that's what we're looking at. I'm actually quite impressed with how this ran last night. I have not opened it yet, but I will be in a few moments. I got this running about 8 o'clock last night. It was probably about, well, yeah, it was 10 degrees outside, so obviously 10 degrees inside when I closed it up. By 10:30 it was running at about 16 degrees. And then when I woke up this morning, it's about 7 o'clock, it was running at 26 degrees. So it had gone up 16 degrees, and the temperature outside had gone down to about 1 or 2 degrees. So that's quite impressive. I didn't think it was going to do that. I figured it'd take a while to build some heat. So how am I getting the heat in there? I do not have a heater in there. What I have is a fan across the top. And then I have a dehumidifier running. So it's the heat from the dehumidifier mostly that is keeping the temperature up or causing the temperature to rise. Now, the reason I want to address a couple of the gaps is after I had looked in it to see what the temperature was, it dropped 2 degrees. Now, it did get a little bit windier, so I think the combination of me just taking a peek through that hole and the wind was enough to pull some air from those gaps that are kind of bleeding. So I want to address those. Before I do, let's open this up and I'll show you what's inside. Okay, first thing I noticed, which is not good, I'm going to have to address, is so this plastic is here to keep the airflow from the fans at the top. If you can see those, yeah, there's the two fans at the top, one unit, two fans. So what I'm trying to force to happen with the plastic is, rather than the fan drawing air directly from below it, it needs to draw it through the stack of lumber. So you'll see that I have this all stickered. What I want to happen is the airflow to circulate around the unit, or around that stack of wood. So what I'm going to have to do is I'm going to have to pull this plastic back and tack it up somewhere. So I'll do that in a few moments. There's something funny going on with that dehumidifier. So yeah, it probably looks like an odd dehumidifier. Couple things with that unit. This was something I had picked up for nothing. It wasn't working very well. It would freeze up all the time, and but oddly enough, if you take the case off, it doesn't freeze up. I'm really tight in space on here. It actually doesn't fit with the casing on it, so casing's off it, and I'm hoping that that will work. So I'm kind of suspecting this plastic is causing me some issues with maybe the temperature this morning. So that's what it looks like inside. Way down in the end, probably can't really see it, is where my thermometer is. So this was running, like I said, 26 degrees this morning at 78% humidity. That humidity level hasn't changed much. It's bouncing around a little bit. I'm sort of estimating 4 to 6 weeks to run this stack of pine. There's a couple pieces of hardwood that actually are pretty dry. They've been out drying outdoors for, well, 2 pieces have been out there for 2 years, and then the other pieces not nearly as long. So they're sitting on the top, but most of the rest of the stuff is pretty green pine. So I'm going to close this back up and get things sealed up. Before I do, I want to see how much water this dehumidifier has pulled. That bucket's probably about a quarter of the way full. I will empty that before I put this back together, and then I can probably keep it closed for a couple days, maybe. Alright, till next time.